So Candace Owens exposed a certain ideological movement, extremist organization, group of people, and they literally tried to pow her. They literally tried to take her out. She provides proof in everything. There was an arrest made by the FBI. For those of you who feel like she clout chasing, no, all of the proof was literally provided. And apparently I'm behind because this is a few weeks old. I've been recently working on my long anticipated and long awaited for Martin Luther King video that will be dropping this weekend for my Patreon members. So please be on the lookout for that. For those of you who are not members of the Patreon, please consider becoming a member. But I was working on that yesterday and I came across the information about Candace Owens, and it's gotten worse. As of yesterday, she provided more proof about what this foreign nation has went to the next step to try to do to tarnish Candace Owens' reputation. This is crazy. But before we go over to the clip, I just ask if you're new to the show, please know we're thirsty to grow and to drink some of this water. You can help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. But don't worry, I'm gonna give you a second to do that. To help me out. Just hit that like button for me. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, without further ado, let's check out the first clip.
All right, you guys, now I've got to tell you the story because so many of you guys are messaging me going, what happened? And honestly, I could use your help because I'm not really sure what did happen. And many of you guys are always so concerned about my health and my safety because we go in and we talk about these deep topics. And when you really get into history and you start looking backward, you start to upset powerful structures, people that have had power for a very long time and are willing to kind of be deranged. And when it comes to defending that power, what happened on September 4th of last year in a series of events was I went on Piers Morgan to debate Rabbi Shmuley after he was calling me anti-Semitic. It went very badly for Rabbi Shmuley as Piers Morgan pulled clips like he was lying live about things that I had said that I had never said. And then Piers Morgan was able to debunk that. And on September 4th in particular, this particular part of the debate, I was making an argument that we have to recognize that there are radicals, like holding the title rabbi doesn't mean anything. And there are radicals amongst every religion, and there are radical sects that break out. And here is exactly what I said that warranted, according to this person who was running this group chat, him to try to kill me. So here is what I said to Rabbi Shmuley on September 4th of last year. One of the things that the world is recognizing and what we've always recognized is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's radical Islam, there are all of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing. And you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me or sitting next to me, I guess, it posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, you have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believe that he was the Messiah. What is it? It becomes important to understand, what did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norton Mezvinsky. And their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel. I then proceeded to share those quotations, which again came from authors, Israeli authors, and it caused an insane reaction in my life. Right? Pretty much days after this, YouTube completely demonetized me, and it was led by an account on X called Awesome Jew, who was telling people to mass report my YouTube channel, and we were not able to get remonetized until early this year. So it lasted for a very long time. The person took credit for that, despite us showing YouTube that all of these reports came in on that day. They hit a ton of our videos, and then they fully demonetized us. And we were able to learn that that Awesome Jew account, the person who was running it, lives in New Jersey, okay? Then on September 10th, and this is according to the Department of Justice, there was a person who posted a video making threats against my life, saying that he was going to kill me. My husband and I were shortly thereafter contacted by the FBI. They didn't give us any details. They just said that your name has come up in an investigation. We can't tell you anymore. We're closing on this investigation. Then in October, when this individual was arrested, they still did not tell us his name. They contacted me and my husband, and they said the suspect has been apprehended. We will tell you more in the future. But, and my husband just said, is our life at risk? I mean, do we have any safety concerns? Is there more that we should know about this? And they said no. So we knew nothing. Fast forward to this year in April, my husband gets another phone call from the FBI, and they say, we're going to send you a pamphlet on what it means to be a victim and what your rights are. Still did not tell us that a man had been arrested in October 25th. They didn't tell us his name, rather, of who had been arrested and what the charges were and what the threats were to my life. We got a pamphlet in the mail. And then on May 6th, we find out that this individual pled guilty. And after he pled guilty, they finally informed me of the name of this individual, and his name is Chaim Braverman. And yes, he is connected to the Lubavitchers. So what better way to make an argument that you're not radical and insane other than trying to kill someone for saying that you're a radical, and that things have gotten out of hand and that these radical sects do exist. This hit the news before my husband and I were ever given this person's name. And I have to tell you, what's really terrifying about this is we are asking the DOJ to share with us the other 39 individuals that were in this group chat, okay? We were told that this individual made a group on social media of like-minded people who were angry about my Piers Morgan appearance. And in this group, he began transmitting threats against me and saying that he was serious, that he was going to murder me. He showed the weapon, told the individuals that if you're not comfortable with discussing weapons at this stage, then get out of this chat. And this is a quotation from the DOJ report. He said this in his video, "You'll get what's coming to you. I've never met someone that I could effing do right now." He then had a steel bat in his hands and said that he was going to kill me with a steel bat, said that he would beat me with that he wouldn't even stop, that he would kill me until I was dead. And he quite literally said in this video, "I am threatening a death sentence against Candace Owens." And writing this in a chat, what really alarms me here is 39 other people knew about this. 39 other people were in this chat and understood that he wanted to kill me and he was serious about this. And none of them thought to reach out to me. None of them reached out to me on social media and said, "Hey, I'm in this chat and I don't like you. I disagree with you and your stance on Israel. And maybe I'm a fan of Rabbi Shmuley, but this is wrong."
Now, for those of you who've been living under a rock, maybe you don't follow Candace Owens, maybe you don't follow on that political side as far as like conservatism, things of that sort. But let me just bring you up to speed. For those of you who don't know, a lot of people voted for Donald Trump. One of the biggest reasons they voted for Donald Trump because he's been saying no more wars. That's been a big thing when it came to Donald Trump. Now, people on the other side or people playing devil's advocate will say, hey, listen, yes, Donald Trump he campaigned on no more wars, especially in the Middle East. But Donald Trump also has been saying consistently that Iran cannot have a nuclear program. Well, here's the problem. There is no proof that Iran has a nuclear program. There's no proof that they were in the works of trying to get a nuclear program.
Iran's cyber operations and capabilities also present a serious threat to U.S. networks and data. The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
Iran literally signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which, by the way, Israel has not signed that treaty. And not only that, but they have not had an inspection of their nuclear program. Israel literally has a nuclear program. Iran does not. Nonetheless, as many of us know, Donald Trump actually bombed Iran just a few days ago. Since all of this has been taking place, Candace Owens has been extremely critical of Donald Trump and his administration and them going back and not sticking to their campaign promises. And I just so happen to agree with Candace Owens. Whether you like Candace Owens or not, one thing about Candace Owens is that when she's going to talk about something on her show, she's going to provide you reasons. And by reasons, I mean documentation, things people have said, things people said in videos, tweets that people have made, court documents, things of that sort. She's going to provide you quote unquote evidence or proof as to why she's taking a position. Whether you choose to agree with her or not, she's just not making stuff up out of thin air. and just running with it. Well, I would just assume that a lot of people would agree with her, because when it comes to Israel, it's clear that there is a bias when it comes to our politicians, when it comes to the things that we do, when it comes to our foreign policy.
Do you feel like Israel is a fair ally? Are they a good ally for us?
Well,
or is that too general of a question?
Well, I think it doesn't matter. Like, there's no big, giant Great Britain lobby. There's no Australian lobby. There's no German lobby.
Oh, the other countries don't have them?
No, not like this. This is singular. This is unique. I mean, if you're an ally, why wouldn't we work with you? Why do you have to convince us that you're our ally? Why do you have to basically go into every congressional office and convince them? And it's because they want to keep the money flowing. And that they've got a good return on their investment. I mean, we send more foreign aid to Israel than to any other country.
Yeah.
They're, like 10 million people or something.
Yeah, I think
Tennessee, I don't know the population in Tennessee, but it's probably about, on that order.
Yeah, I think this year they said we spent like $12 billion, but that's not actual dollars. It's in military aid, right?
Yeah, it's it's dollars
like
that comes out of the treasury. Yeah, but it's not like we give them. It's a gift certificate that's redeemable at Lockheed Martin and your local Raytheon.
Okay, got it. So that's kind of how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Why do they have this carve out that's just for them? What do we get from Israel, do you feel like?
We got a lot of countries that hate us. It's one of the things we get.
Well, especially right now with this stuff in Gaza, I think it's one of the worst PR campaigns I've ever seen in my life. If they're even, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, I just don't, it gives their government this extremely evil look to me, and I think to a lot of people,
Well, rough numbers, there are 2 million people in Gaza and 50,000 have been killed. That's 2.5%. Like, they've killed 1 in 40 people in Gaza. If you did that in the United States, if you did 2.5% of 350 million, it'd be almost 10 million people dead in the United States. Everybody in Gaza is at this point related to somebody who's been killed. Like, at least a first cousin you had killed. And then if you say how many have been maimed, it's probably 3 or 4 times that. So everybody in Gaza knows people who've been killed and maimed.
And we're supporting it, right? That's also the part that makes it really tough sometimes to just be a person. It's like, our tax money is going towards this. But I just hope that people in some of these other countries know that, it's not regular everyday people who would want to do these things, that it's like governments making these choices and it's corporate interests that make these choices. How would we stop it? Well, do we need this connection with Israel? What is it? No one ever explains what it's for, I feel like, right? That would help everybody have a much better understanding, because it starts to feel like America is just a shell company, an LLC for Israel. That's what it starts to feel like a lot of times, Do you feel like that's realistic, or do you feel like that's off base?
I wouldn't send them a dime. Like, that's my position. I don't think whatever we're getting isn't worth it.
But apparently everybody doesn't agree with that, because something I noticed over the past maybe 2 to 3 weeks is something very weird. There's a CIA project that was conducted many, many years ago where they had like 20 people sitting in a circle, right? And of those 20 people, 19 of those people were CIA agents or CIA operatives. Only one of them was a member of the general public. What they were trying to figure out was how big or how influential peer pressure is. So what they did was they took an image and they passed it around to everybody in the circle. Now, this image was a picture of an apple, right? Of an apple. They started with the first person, who was a CIA operative, and they went all the way around the circle, making the general member of the public, right, that one person being the last person to go. They went all the way around the circle. Everybody in the circle said that the image they were looking at was a banana. Clearly it's an apple, but everybody in the circle is saying that they're looking at a banana. By the time it makes it to the general member of the public, they look at the image and they're obviously, subconsciously, they're confused, like, what? This is an apple. Why is everybody saying a banana? What did they tell everybody else they were looking at? You guessed it, a banana. They agreed because of peer pressure. And this is what I've been seeing across the internet. It's the weirdest thing. Candace Owens is making perfect sense. She has every legitimate right to be critical of the things that Israel and the way in which this country is being seemingly dictated on the interests of Israel. And this is not America first. Well, when you go online and you go to the comment section, it's a bit weird. Like you got people in the comment section saying Candace Owens has lost her mind. You're hearing people say things like, I used to be subscribed to Candace and I'm no longer subscribed to Candace. Let's be clear. I've been critical of Candace in the past of certain things, and I will continue to be critical of any person that I don't necessarily agree with, but I will provide reasons that are not baseless. What I'm talking about right here makes no sense. These are people that are claiming to used to support Candace Owens, not people who are already on the left that don't agree with Candace and her politics. People who are not Christian that don't agree with her religion. We're talking about people who claim to have once supported Candace Owens, but now she has lost her mind. Anybody that watches this woman's show knows that the woman has not lost her mind. Anybody that watches her show knows that she's been consistent with the way in which she approaches these situations. But you go to the comment section, it's similar to that CIA experiment I just spoke about. It's like, are we watching the same thing? It's like watching the Tucker Carlson and the Ted Cruz interview where Ted Cruz was literally humiliated and couldn't give legitimate reasons why America bends over backwards for Israel.
Up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Well, hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in
Yes.
Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is. I guess. Oh no, I'm hardly the one who's. I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No, not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh.
Nobody can tell us a legitimate reason. Why do we support Israel? What do we get out of it? What is it? Name one legitimate reason. It's like watching that clip that I just showed you and then going to the comment section and somebody saying Tucker Carlson has lost his mind. I'm like, how? Did we watch the same thing? Well, now we have the answer. It's a reason why these weird comments that can't actually give you a substantive rebuttal to anything Candace Owens has really been saying. It's a reason. Turns out people are being paid, not just small time influencers, but I'm pretty sure there are much larger influencers as well that's going to be exposed later, because Candace says more is to come. But there are small time influencers that are being paid between $1,000 and $5,000, and in some cases being paid in Bitcoin, which means that you can't trace it back to who is doing the paying, that is, to say mean things or very critical things about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson as it relates to Israel.
I'm not kidding. We have got TikTok influencers and Instagram influencers and pastors that have received marching orders. You might have noticed that, a little uptick in content regarding not just Candace Owens, but Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, as if we work together or are coordinating together. Very strange. Plus, Trump tweeted or Truth Socialed about Bibi Netanyahu last night, and I'm going to be frank, it's just weird. Despite everyone agreeing Tucker won handily, we started seeing an appearance of influencers that began not just attacking Tucker and pretending like nobody just watched what they watched and going like, Tucker's crazy, but strangely attaching my name to it. It was not just Tucker, it was Tucker and Candace. I'm going to show you just one example, okay? It's a little long, but it's worth watching. This is a woman, her name is Nadine. She has 16,000 followers, and this is the video that she did in reaction to Tucker's sit down with Ted Cruz. Take a listen.
Okay, did anybody else watch the Tucker Carlson interview with Ted Cruz yesterday and think, what in the world has happened to Tucker Carlson?
No one thought that.
I really used to like this guy, but he looked so insane during this interview. He was so offended and acted completely juvenile. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen Tucker Carlson do. He looked so bad. He literally made himself look very weak and immature. It was disgusting. And you know what? And let's talk about Candace Owens too.
Let's do that.
I used to like watching her, but she's gone completely crazy and downhill.
Okay, you have no idea who I am. Someone has sent you, perhaps, I'm surmising here, telling you to go after Candace Owens, and we have evidence of that. And we saw across the board that there was this random typo in my name, Candace Owens. So then I get a flurry of emails, okay, telling us that it's not just Nadine. On Sunday, people went to church, whatever church it is that they attend, whatever denomination, and there were a flurry of pastors that preached to their congregation regarding the evils of, you guessed it, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Again, why are we in the same breath? Okay, let's check out this preacher. I've covered his face because I don't think it's relevant. I'm not trying to create an army of people to go after him. It's not what I believe in. I want to attack the substance of what he's saying on stage, not the individual. But here he is. He gets up on stage this past Sunday and he preaches about Candace, Tucker, and a couple of other political people. Take a listen.
Let me just say this. If some of us spent the same amount of time we did on Fox News as we do the Bible, there would be a revival in America today. Some of you listen to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, and these guys are anti-Semitic. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to say it. They're anti-Semitic, and their rhetoric is dangerous.
And that's not it, by the way. Like I was watching this sermon going, this is incredible. Listen to who else he mentioned later on.
We're going to have my friend Robert Stearns is going to come here. And he has a unique ministry that God is utilizing him to touch the Israeli people. He knows Netanyahu. He knows all these amazing people. And I met Mike Huckabee, an ambassador of Israel. Let me just say something about Mike Huckabee. He's the real deal.
Oh.
He's the real deal. He's a good man of God.
These churches, these mega churches, otherwise, they can be sponsored on trips to, these, like, they're well taken care of. They go over on these overseas trips by these organizations that purport to be alliances. And they said, yes, actually, this was one of these trips. It was sponsored by an organization called Eagle Wings, which is a quote unquote alliance between Christians and Jews. Now, here's what I'm saying. Just taking a look at this website that sponsored this particular pastor, if it's an alliance between Christian and Jews, should there be a crucifix? Like, do you see Christ? What kind of alliance is this? I just see the Star of David. I see the state of Israel right off the bat. What kind of alliance is this? Does this mean like we get to work for the state of Israel? Like, just looking at the vibes. Anyways, scroll down. You can pull that back up. I want to just see, because you see what are these upcoming events? Okay, here's some upcoming events. If you'd like to attend I Stand With Israel and get a frontline update, you can attend Torah Tuesdays. Okay, that sounds fun. What are we handing out on Torah Tuesdays? Like Taco Tuesdays, Torah Tuesdays. And we've got Shabbat. These are the upcoming events. I am amazed by this. Okay, I'm not really sure what Christians get out of this. Anyways, like I said, you know me, I'm interested. And then I start thinking beyond this. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm getting these flurry of emails and pastors are getting on stage on Sunday and simultaneously talking about Tucker and Candace, of every plausible arrangement of names that they could make, they go with Tucker and Candace, it means that there had to have been some sort of a script that went out, right? So I take a shot. Money talks. I'm pretty open about stuff, and I just go ahead and put a bounty. Candace the Bounty Hunter, right? Put me on A&E. I want to have a show, Candace the Bounty Hunter, right? And I just say on my Instagram stories, if you work in a pastoral office and you're one of these people that attended a sermon recently and saw that suddenly people were saying Candace and Tucker, if you have any information, I will pay for that information. Like, I am willing to pay up to $15,000 to get this information, because actually I should offer to pay more, because this really matters. If people think that they are going and yet their pastors are potentially being bought and paid for by outside organizations, whether it's gifts in kind, by fancy trips, or actually cash that's being exchanged so that they can get up and they preach you and they're actually just brainwashing you and they're selling you out, like, this deeply matters. They're talking about people's faith. They think they're going to heaven and potentially their pastors are bought and paid for. And you are not going to believe this, you guys. Sure enough, on Friday, June 20th, an email went out. And I want to be clear, this is an email that went out to a different church, right? To a different pastor, but similarly from an alliance organization, a Judeo- organization, but like, we maybe won't do anything for Christians. We're going to tell Christians what they can do for Israel, okay? So the email, we're going to pull this up for you guys. It's from the Center for Jewish Christian Understanding and Cooperation. And here is the email, as you can see, that went out on June 20th. It says, we've obviously covered anything that was identifying here. We verified this. We had screen recordings, everything. It says, I hope this message finds you well. At the Center for Jewish Christian Understanding and Cooperation, we've always believed that the strength of our communities lies in how we show up for one another, especially in difficult times. That's why I'm reaching out. Recently, we've been troubled by certain statements made by public voices like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, individuals with large platforms whose words carry weight. While we understand and respect differing political views, the language they've used lately has crossed a line. It's not just provocative and controversial. In some cases, it's veered into rhetoric that echoes classic anti-Semitic tropes, questioning Jewish loyalty, downplaying the Holocaust, and framing Jewish communities as global manipulators. Now, it's going to get a little ironic here, because if you're going to talk about a little bit of manipulation, it's going to come at the end of this email. Here's the second page of the email. It may not always be obvious at first glance, but to those of us who've seen where this kind of speech leads, it's deeply unsettling. We're not asking anyone to take sides politically. This is about something deeper, about spiritual accountability and the moral influence church leaders like yourself have in shaping how people treat one another. With that in mind, we'd be grateful if you'd consider speaking briefly on this in one of your upcoming services. Even a few words encouraging awareness, compassion, and caution when engaging with media voices that spread division under the cover of opinion. And if you're open to it and willing to share a recording or a summary of your message, we'd like to offer a small gesture of support, a donation of $2,500 in Bitcoin to your congregation. No strings attached. No, it sounded to me like there was very much string attached here. Just an expression of our thanks and solidarity. Please feel free to reply directly if you'd like to connect further, or if we can provide any background resources for your message. And I want to be clear, guys. There's no strings attached. Do it. And we'll give you $2,500 in Bitcoin, which is not really traceable whatsoever, but it's to show our alliance. And we're not telling you what to say. We're just telling you that if you were going to say something, let it be that Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson are anti-Semitic. And we're not giving you any proof of that other than this no string attached payment via Bitcoin, which is kind of untraceable. Huh?
I want y'all to consider something. If this woman's life was at risk at one point in time for exposing certain things, digging into certain histories, and now it's being exposed that these organizations from a foreign nation, rabbis from a foreign nation, are paying to have this woman and her reputation tarnished by not only influencers, but pastors. That's wild, bro. And the weirdest thing is, you're gonna have people to ignore this. They're gonna pretend like this doesn't even exist. Can anybody explain to me this tweet right here by Donald Trump? Somebody. This is just days after he came on camera and claimed to have been upset with Israel, upset with Bibi Netanyahu or Bibi Netanyahu. Just days after that, he releases this tweet where he's praising this dude and calling him a war hero, despite the fact that his own government is trying to prosecute him. Despite the fact that you all should go and watch this documentary called The Bibi Files, where it exposes all the things that Bibi Netanyahu has been doing. So for those of you who don't know, the moment that Bibi Netanyahu is no longer in a war, he has to answer for the crimes that he's been committed of. But as long as Israel is at war, he doesn't have to go to trial for it. Is that not crazy? Is that not wild? Candace Owens is not the only influencer that's been critical of our relations. Like I just showed you earlier in the video, Thomas Massey, the representative of the state of Kentucky, has also been very critical, and he's making perfect sense. It's only the people that try to defend this Israel first ideation, and they claim, while claiming that it's not Israel first, when it doesn't benefit America. Our house is on fire. America is getting worse. Our streets are not fixed. We still have homelessness. We still have people that's dealing with food insecurity, yet we're sending billions of dollars overseas to Israel, overseas to Ukraine. It's not just Israel, but Israel has a unique type of special privilege that they receive when it comes to politics. Why is that? And now we know why you go to the comment section and you see these, Candace Owens has lost her mind. She's went loony. She doesn't have it anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is getting crazy, bro. Y'all up in the comment section to let me know what you think. I love to hear your perspective. I'm willing to debate, and this is an open debate right here. This is an open invitation. Anybody that's willing to debate me on this topic, I'm open to it. A lot of people were upset that Candace Owens stated that men who are in the military should be open to being dishonorably discharged instead of going overseas to fight on behalf of Israel. People were upset about that. They don't understand that that's the equivalent of a felony, this, that, and the third. Listen, I understand that it can be very detrimental to people that are serving to be dishonorably discharged, which is choosing not to go to war on behalf of America. But if you listen to what Candace Owens was saying within context, whether you still agree with her or not, it would make a little bit more sense other than you just saying she's lost her mind. What happened to Candace Owens? Nobody's falling for that nonsense. Either you're a bot or you're paid to say this stuff, or you're just trying to fit in. What she's saying is she responded to a comment from a fan or somebody in her comment section that said, would you send your sons to fight this war if it was to take place and your sons were old enough? She said, honestly, no. She would recommend anybody who would have found out that they're not fighting on behalf of their own country, but they're fighting on behalf of another country, a foreign nation, and they're fighting over lies. She would much rather that they be dishonorably discharged, face the consequences, rather than going over there and potentially losing their life for another country. That makes sense to me. Yes, dishonorably discharged is a bad thing. Which one would you rather? Being dishonorably discharged and potentially serving some jail time, felony, not being open to getting your benefits. I understand it's a bad situation, but would you rather that or lose your life for a country that you don't even serve? Which is it? Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.